Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And then that's the reception I got. You remember all of that, right? Okay. I'm Bob Stafford. Welcome and thank you for being here. Welcome to the Neal-Marshall Black Culture Center. Welcome to a production of the African American Arts Institute. We want to certainly thank you for giving up your time and valuing what we do by showing up. That's really, really important to the arts and to advocacy and to forward motion and to action is this idea of showing up with your body in the space. So thank you for doing that first and foremost. Welcome. What we're going to share with you is a labor of love that has transpired in about 2 hours. This weekend, I'm not sure if you have heard or are familiar with it or not, but we have been engaged in our 21st anniversary dance workshop. It's the 21st anniversary dance workshop of the African American Dance Company, which is in its 45th season.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that you can give yourself permission, feel free to engage, to be involved, to interact with the work of the artists that we will present and share with you this evening. That means clapping when you feel like clapping. That means giving a ululation when you feel like getting happy, right? Are we familiar with that? Yes. If you're not, then we're giving you permission right now. Again, because the idea in many performance spaces is that where I'm standing here, that there's a fourth wall, right? And in the Africanist sensibility and the Africanist work, we permeate that fourth wall. It doesn't exist because you get to be not only engaging in the performance, you get to be a part and participatory in the performance. Yes?
Yes.
Here's another practical way to think about that too. Okay, are we ready? At one point, we will ask you to perform. Yeah, so just get ready. Just kind of fix it in your mind right now, right? Because it's coming, right? I'll let you know when. So you can get in your mind a little time, like to prepare. What will I do? Will I bust out that thing my grandma used to do? You can think about that kind of thing. It's going to be movement. See, you ready already, ain't you? I know. It's going to be movement, all right? But we'll have more direction when that time comes. Again, I'm Bob Stafford Berry, the director of the workshop and the director of the African American Dance Company. We're going to move forward and jump right into things, right? All that we do extends, of course, originally from the continent of Africa. And there's a way in which I want to gain your attention whenever we want to move on to something different. I will say a word. This comes to us from the country of Ghana. The language is Twi. And whenever I want to gain your attention, I'll say this word, Ago. When you hear the Ago, you will respond, as you just heard, with another word, which means, I'm listening, you have my attention, what's going on, right? What are we about to embark upon? That response is Ame. Right? Notice I didn't say Ame, I said Ame. Right? There's a difference. A lot of these languages are atonal, which means you have to say them a certain way in order for them to have the meaning that you're trying to convey. Because Ame would be different from Ame. You still with me? Let's try. Ago.
Amen.
Ago.
Amen.
Awesome. We are going to begin our sharing. As we go along, I will introduce you to our wonderful master musicians and dancers, teachers, culturalists that have been engaging with us all weekend long. All weekend long means Thursday and Friday and today. All right, we have lots of things that have been happening. First, this I like to say young woman, right? That's what I like to say, was unfamiliar to me when I landed here in Bloomington and assumed the role of the director of the company. She is Milagros Ramirez from Cuba, and she has been sharing with the dance company, how long, Proro?
I think 4 years.
4 years now? Okay, 4 years now. And we're always happy to have her back because through Milagros' work, we get to see lots of influence, right? Although we're talking about Cuba, we're talking about Africa as well, occupying similar and sometimes same space. And we get to witness that and bear witness to that. In the last class of the day, students were working on choreography. And so they had 2 hours with the teachers to put together a dance. And here's the thing, those of us who have been to dance concerts, or those of us who are familiar with the process, know that dancers spend weeks on dances. And they had 2 hours. So I just want to put that context, right, into place so that we can be, gracious, right? That we can be generous, right? That we can look at somebody who may think, oh my God, I messed up. And we thought, oh, that was fabulous, right? We can do that, okay? And again, interactive participation, right? There's not a separation. I go. Amen. You with me? I go. Amen. All right. So Milagros and Proro, will you all come forward, please? Because I have a very limited Spanish vocabulary, I rely on Professor Rosa to translate for me. I know buenos and I know tacos. That's all I know, okay? So I would like Proro to translate as we ask Milagros to give us just a statement or two about what we are going to experience, if you will. Sure.
Bueno, trabajé 35 años en Cuba con el movimiento danzario profesional.
She worked 35 years in Cuba as a professional dancer and director.
He sido una estudiosa de las tradiciones afrocubanas.
She's also been studying the traditions, the Afro-Cuban dance traditions.
Y mis creaciones artísticas estuvieron con toda la influencia del origen de la cultura africana.
In all her artistic creation and production, the base of her work has been from Africa.
El estudio profundo de los orichas, es la religión yoruba.
And she studies and performs in the tradition of the Orishas.
También en la región oriental, que es donde yo vivo en Santiago de Cuba, hay una fuerte presencia del área del Caribe, particularmente de Haití.
And where she comes from, the Oriente, the eastern part of Cuba, there is a heavy influence from Haiti.
Y la coreografía que le vamos a presentar ahora un poco muestra la belleza de la mujer del Caribe con los movimientos y tiene mucho influencia del merengue haitiano.
Okay, so what she has prepared for you today with the students is a dance that shows the beauty of women in the Caribbean.
Entonces, thank you, enjoy.
Gracias. That's the third.
Mamá.
That's good, right? Woo! That was the right thing to get us started. That really was. That really was. That really was. I go. I'll be doing multiple things. We'll be doing multiple things as we move forward. So I mentioned the African American Arts Institute. And for those of you who have not met him, I want to introduce you to our executive director. He's the one that steers the ship, as I call it. And, you know, he's the one that tells me, okay, Baba Stafford, you cannot spend that much. So I have to make sure I follow instructions. But in all seriousness, this is Dr. Sykes. The African American Dance Company is housed in the African American Arts Institute. Simultaneously, it is a class, a course that students can audition for and then register for and take. And it lives in African American and African Diaspora Studies. Our chair, Dr. Carolyn Calloway Thomas, would you please be acknowledged? Is there anyone else here from African American and African Diaspora Studies? Will you please stand? Okay. All right, Dr. Calloway Thomas is representing. Okay, all right. Patty LaBelle, we didn't talk about. Okay. It's an inside joke. Okay. So what'd you think about that? Yeah? They did that. They did that. You know, I like to, because we're in this space, right? Academia at a, I just found out today that it's not really Big 10, it's like 14 of them, they just call it big. Who knew? Like, I didn't know that information, so I'm always learning. I did not know that until today. So now that I know that, it's like, okay, I'm no longer gonna say Big 10, because I've been saying this for 2 years. Johnny, you didn't tell me. But again, because we're in this space, I always like to give the audiences ways to think about what you're experiencing here. I believe that's always helpful. You can certainly bring your own historical references along with you to see, right, these works and to experience these works. But I'd like to also provide additional ways. And so we talked about in one of the classes earlier, an Africanist movement that really isn't this idea of soloing the way we think in Western concert dance, right? In other words, this space in the dance where the dance is about the person who's dancing and we shower them with accolades because it's just them and we're lifting them and only them. Yeah? Well, there's nothing wrong with that because it's a thing that exists in the world. In the Africanist sense, and you just experienced it here with Milagros' work, even when folk are dancing and doing something and they're the only one doing it, they're not ever dancing alone, right? We either mean that in a literal sense where we have a bantaba or a dancing circle or a dancing ground where you literally have people surrounding you, right? But even if those folks that were surrounding them weren't on stage, in terms of the various contexts, you are either dancing for transcendence, you are either dancing for a higher or toward a higher purpose or force or deity, right, that resides here or resides here, or you're dancing also for yourself, right, which compartmentalizes you as a person into more than just your body. Are you following me? And so in this way, solos are not usually looked upon in this particular aesthetic as you dancing alone, or the artist dancing alone. So I want you to kind of reflect back on Milagros' dances, particularly when Professor Rosa and the various folks came forward and they did what we would call solos, but they're not really dancing by themselves. So there's that huge distinction. You still with me? I go. Moving on. This young man is family to me. He's my brother. I've known him since I was a wee lad and he was an older teenager. Okay, maybe I'm fitting just a little bit. We were both born and raised right outside the Philadelphia area on the East Coast, and have had almost parallel professional careers. Even though we were both born and raised on the East Coast, we both ended up here as transplants to this Midwest area. And he is a master teacher of a dance technique that I really wanted to make a regular part of what we're doing here, and the way that he does it. So it was fortunate for us that he was available to do this workshop. He's over at University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, doing the same thing there that I'm doing here, working in both African American studies and dance. All right, so if Dr. Nance, if you want to please come forward, just give us a statement or two about what we're going to see, and that would be great. Hey, Dr. Nance. Okay, here, a statement or two.
First of all, Stafford, thank you for having me here at Indiana University, and thank you for babysitting me all those years when we were kids. So I've had the opportunity to share with the dance community here, and it's been great. So the students who are about to perform in front of you were introduced to Mafunda by way of choreography. So this will be their first time putting the money movement on their body and then trying to do it in choreography. So please welcome them with a wholehearted welcome and clap for them as you support them through this educational experience. All right? Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, I agree, Mama Cam. Thank you so much, Dr. Nance. Thank you so much to all of those folks that participated in there. The thing that we can take, one of the things that we can take away from that performance and reflecting on that particular technique is that it's an Africanist technique created by an African-American woman. She's the progenitor of the technique. And as you can see, it's a technique that celebrates the body, right? We have body parts that are able to move in particular ways, and African dance in general, as a general motif, but then definitely it's seeable in this particular technique is that we then move those parts of our body that are there and don't ignore them, right? Or don't create them as taboo. Because the last time I checked, and it was a bit ago since I've done this kind of research, but the last time I checked, every body has one. Right? And so if it's something that we all have this thing called a body, then why, oh why, do we ignore it? Or try to downplay it? African dance does the opposite, and it encourages us to do the opposite, to celebrate our bodies. Yeah? As things, as items, as organic material that we all share in common. And if it wasn't for our bodies, none of us would be here. You get what I'm saying? Okay, so yeah, I just want to sort of unpack some of that stuff that we have about the body, right? And articulating the body, moving the hips, letting the shoulders go, taking the arm through space. We can't be afraid to move, y'all. Even if what you think, I'm not a dancer. I don't dance. I can't dance. You're a liar. Because you have a body. Because you have a body. Now here's the thing, rhythm is something different. Right? We can acknowledge that. That's something different. Right? Some folks have more. Some folks, are on a diet and have, taken fewer portions of it. But that in the long stretch, right? In the long stretch of it, doesn't really, really matter when it comes to us living in shared space and having some kinds of dialogue with one another as people who share something that's as common as our bodies. I go. And so in addition to being a wonderful choreographic tool, a wonderful way to enter movement that's Africanist movement that can take you into other kinds of African and Pan-African movement, as well as more contemporary and modern kinds of movement, it's a really beautiful and wonderful technique. All right, so thank you, Dr. Nance. One of the conversations that we had to kick off our workshop was this idea of gender roles in Black dance. And some of you may have participated in that or were there in the audience as our illustrious artists, teachers shared with us. And I want to continue having this conversation because it's important to have this conversation. It speaks to, one thing that we know in academia, this idea of intersectionality of different kinds of marginalized people or marginalized ways of being, right? But it asks us to question what we mean when we use particular terms that refer to people, right? And so I want us to kind of, those of us who were at that talk, ruminate on the conversations we had as we engage this next piece, and then everyone else really see, and of course bring along your own historical knowledge to inform what you see, but also invite yourself to see something new and or different, right? I have a conversation with some of my colleagues all the time about when people go to see art, they sometimes expect to leave happy. I want you to think about that. When I say happy, I mean they want to go into a space and have the art dictate how they're going to feel. And it's usually they want to be happy, right? And there's no art that promises or that has promised that as an after effect. And here's the thing, you can actually choose how you react to something. I tell people that when I go see art, no matter what I think about it, I like to see the whole thing from beginning to end. And even if it's something that's curious to me, that I don't quite understand, that's new or that's different or rubs me in a way that makes me uncomfortable, right? Discomfort is not bad or terrible. And if you are experiencing art that does that for you, then good, right? Good, because this idea of expanding your thoughts is about growth and development, and art can certainly help us to do that. But I want to make sure this is. I'm telling you the things that I tell my students, right, when we're teaching them, when I'm teaching them, that there's no law that says you have a right necessarily to be happy or comfortable. Some of you have the right to get up and leave. Don't jump into it. But in all seriousness, there are multiple ways of experiencing art that ride outside of happy, sunshiny, what's another adjective? Smiling, cheerful. You get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. This brother is very special to us. He is from New York. He is one of, as far as I'm concerned, when we look at lots of videos, before people knew about this particular dance style called Vogue, right? Before people knew about it, it's like a global phenomenon now these days. You can catch it. Lots of choreographers are working with it now. There are dance shows about it. They have international conferences on it now. But before people even knew it existed, when it existed in these sort of underground spaces, right? This young man was on the scene as what I call one of the architects of the style, right? This is Cesar Valentino, and I want to invite him on just to give a word or two, a statement or two about what we're going to experience in this next.
Thank you, guests. Beyond grateful for another opportunity to be here and share this dance style with everyone here. What you're about to experience today is something a little bit more campy than what I usually do. I usually do something a little bit more traditional. This is something a little bit more in terms of what is currently popular with the music. For those who don't know, voguing is a dance that's based on posing. And the objective was to try to be like models. I've been doing this since 1983. And I've watched it change into what it is now, the newer style of the really flamboyant, slam your back on the floor type stuff. But the references that I grew up with were military, martial arts, and trying to be a model, all incorporated into being a dance style. And the best way to sum up voguing, for those who don't know, it's an expression of self-appreciation. I don't care what you look like, I don't care what you weigh, I don't care if you are or will ever be a professional model. Everyone that decided to do this number, to me, is as important, as beautiful, as talented, and should be given the same respect and opportunity. And that's why ballroom and Vogue was created, to give everyone a chance to express themselves where they probably ordinarily in society would not be given that opportunity. So, that's my mission statement. Inclusion, empowerment for all. Enjoy.
Your thing. Attention, please. If dancing is not your thing, please step aside.
I'm so into voguing.
the speed at which you hit that shove light, I was like, oh, you really brought it. I'm so into booking right now. I'm so into booking right now. You gotta amp it up a little bit.
Bring it to the wrong way.
Is really wrong.
sometimes the music cuts off on you. And you keep going. Kudos, y'all. It's just amazing to me how much energy and courageousness that style invokes, both in the performers and the audience. And if you've ever been to a ball where this style of dancing happens, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So kudos to y'all. And I'm gonna kind of stand over these scuff marks so Dr. Sykes doesn't see it. Okay. Okay, tennis ball, all right. We're gonna move on. These two young people I worked with, I think 2014, something like that. They are wonderful, wonderful, wonderfully exquisite movement technicians, dancers, also teachers. I'm sure they do a bunch of other stuff. Q2 was wearing this fabulous jacket that I think he made out of jeans. But I worked with them in the Dayton Contemporary Dance Company, which is, right down the road in Dayton. And if you've ever gotten a chance to see them perform, I mean, they're just stellar. But they're also wonderful teachers, and we invited them here to the workshop to work with our folks, our young folks, our students here in our community. And they put together some wonderful work, and I'd just like Q and Q2 to come forward and talk about it. I'm sorry, their names are Carrie and Quentin. I call them Q1 and Q2 because they're cute.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I'm Karen. I am from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and this is my second season with DCDC. I also serve as rehearsal director, and I've done a couple pieces for the company. The piece that you will see today is called Heaven's Earth. It is a recreation of a duet that I did with two dancers in the company. So it's recreated and reimagined for the cast that you'll see today. The process was I taught a couple phrases, and then we started shaping and molding, and then I gave a prompt and allowed the dancers to come up with some movement on their own, and then I manipulated that.
Yeah.
And so you'll see that today. The title is Heaven's Earth, and it is an idea that one energy has already transitioned to heaven, and they're living their best life, okay? The second energy is in the middle of the transition, but is a bit scared and has a lot of questions. So there's a conversation between looking to earth and looking to heaven, although that can be anywhere, just in the context of this piece. It's down and out and up and out. And also Quentin is the bomb too.
I don't need to say much. She basically explained everything. But again, my name is Quentin Sledge, and I've been dancing with the Dayton Contemporary Dance Company for the past 5 years. Had a great time teaching and working with the students today, and at the panel discussion yesterday as well. So, I'm from Chicago. I hope you all enjoy it.
amazing potency of dance and what it can evoke in you. It's like, I didn't, know that was coming, and here it is, right? Just by engaging in body-to-body movement with other people in space. That's why we can't ignore that we have these bodies, y'all, because it only happens through the body. Our bodies on this end, their bodies on this end, and there's some kind of interaction, conversation, visceral dialogue that is happening. That's where that emotion comes from. Yeah? Y'all still with me? I go. So yeah, we're gonna invite the musicians on to set up, right? And I wanna acknowledge a couple more folk that make all of this possible, all right? If you are a staff member of the African American Arts Institute, please stand or wave your hand. Yeah. Hi, Charlene. That's me. Right. We would not be able to do these kinds of things with the person who, really acts like the glue for all of our various constituency. And, she's always texting me or calling me, Bob Stafford. We're gonna talk about this. Hannah Crane, just a special applause for Hannah. I love collaborating is one of my most favorite things to do, working with another artist. And we collaborate often on a lot of the marketing materials that you see, like that you receive through your email, that you see posted around. And I love being able to do that because Hannah has such a wonderful eye toward that kind of thing. And so it's like fun. We get to have fun that way. We get to dance together that way through that material. Mia is responsible for all the gorgeous photography or photographs that you see, and Mia Beach is right here behind me. Thank you, Mia. If you have been affiliated with the African American Dance Company, either you were with us last semester or what have you, or used to dance with us a long time ago, go ahead and stand up, Sade, next to you. Right? Yeah. Yes. Yes. Our alumni keep our eyes toward the prize because they don't let me forget. Don't you forget about us. We won't. We won't. Because then, at some point, all of these young folk will be alumni, right? They will be amongst your ranks. And so I thank you, alumni, for continuing to support. I thank you for doing all that you do out in the community in your own respective lives. And I thank you for always giving back. Giving back is something that we should not think about. It should be an automatic thing that's a part of our daily, right, activity and interaction. This idea of giving back, not because you expect something in return, but because you were taught to be generous. Because you were taught to be generous. I'd like to acknowledge my colleague over in contemporary dance who's been hitting it with us all day long, Miss Celine Carter. And I thank you once again for coming out. If there are already parents of students, right, either current students or young folks that aunts, uncles, grandparents, whatever, I thank you for sharing your students, your children with us. We promise that if they are here or when they are here, we will take good care of them. We will push them, I like pushing, right? But we will take really, really good care of them. So thank you for entrusting them with us. We're going to move forward and ask our musicians. Sometimes, in many spaces, the music is the heartbeat of everything you do, right? I like to make special effort to acknowledge the musicians in any space that we're in because they provide more than we are actually aware of when we're focusing on the bodies that are dancing, right? If you listen with your eyes but with your ears to what's really moving those dancers, here's where you get. Here's where you get. This is Brother Atiba. This is Brother Raul Pedro. This is my brother Osei. Now, for those of you who may remember Brother Bernard Woma, who we recently lost, anybody? Yeah? Osei was one of his teachers back in Ghana, so that lets you know how much he knows. This brother right here, when I first met him, I said a bad word. I did, because he impressed me so much. And I don't, I've heard tons, let me move to the side, tons of musicians. I've heard tons of them, both on tour, in Africa, back in Philly, in North Carolina, in Ohio. And I was like, you all right? When I heard this brother play, he was playing for Mama Milagros' class with our brother from Texas who can't, who's not with us, what's his last name? Kindelan. Brother Kindelan, who couldn't be with us. When I heard them two playing for Milagros, like I just welled up the way you all just did with this piece. And I said, this brother has got something. But it's no surprise, because he's the son of this young man right here, Papa Tony. And he's the son of this woman over here, Mama Professor Rosa. So here's our opportunity to be moved, and I say that intentionally. Here's our opportunity to be moved. I want you to listen to these brothers play. Here's the thing. Some of them just met this weekend, right? Oh, well, it turns out that Papa Tony and Mama Proro met Osei back in Ghana in the early 90s. And I said, okay, I don't feel so special no more. Like, I thought I was making something new happen, this new relationship. And they already knew each other. But I want you to listen to these brothers play and bring magic and spirit and energy from these drums. What do we want to start with? Y'all first. Yes. Sinte, here we go. A music style from the country of Guinea in West Africa. This is called Sinte. Hear it for our musicians. So this last dance style extends to us, the style extends to us from the country of Mali in West Africa. It's called dansa, but I've taken some artistic liberties with it to make it more of a ballet style that we also do to recorded music so it can have more versatility and function. And so when we don't have our live musicians, we can continue doing the dance, yes?
Yes.
you hold it, and you hold it, and you hold it, and you hold it, and you hold it, keep applauding, and you hold it, and you hold it, and you hold it, and you hold it, and you hold it. Where's Jenna? Oh, and you hold it, and you hold it, and you hold it. Ready. And here we go, follow Jacob. Yeah. Come on in, Renaya. Who's that over there? Y'all come on in here. I go. So, yeah. Then there's that. If you think of this as just a taste, because it is, we invite you to join us on April 6th at our spring concert at the Buzzkirk Chumley Theater. 7 o'clock, Hannah? Am I right? 7:30. That's what I'll lay up for. But get your tickets, okay? What we've done today is just a little taste, right? We'll have our full concert. It's going to be a doozy. We want to thank all of our artists who have made this possible. Please stand. Cesar Valentino, Milagros Ramirez, Stafford Kamal Nance. Who am I missing? Quentin and Carrion. Yeah, come on up, come on up. Our musicians, Atiba Rory, Raul Pedro, Osia Piaget, Andre Rosa Artis, and Papatoni Artis. And I would be remiss. Matobi, you weren't here earlier. I would be remiss. I know she's shooting videotape right now, but I'm gonna grab her real quick. Come on. She's trying to shoot video and pictures. You know she's on Facebook now. You know she feels now. She's on Facebook. I stand, and there's a saying that I have. It comes from the Bantu folks who started out in Central Africa and then migrated down to South Africa. And if you know this, then you know what I mean. It is Ubuntu, and it says, I am because you are, you singular and you plural, right? I am in this space directing this dance company and this conference, this workshop, because of this woman right here. She laid the foundation that I now very gingerly walk upon. She was the first director. She held this bad boy down for 43 years. People don't stay at their job for 43 years, right? We are because she has paved the way. Yes. We get to do this because of this young lady right here. And so I thank her every opportunity I have here. And of course, Johnny didn't stand when I said AAA eyeballs, but Anye and Johnny, we wouldn't have sound. And Tim, we wouldn't have our setup if it wasn't for Tim. Thank you all for coming. Remember, April 6th is our concert. Hannah, am I forgetting anything else? Reception. Oh, we got food. Oh, now the important stuff, food. I'm a foodie, I really am a foodie. So we invite you to recept with us in the Bridgewater's Lounge. But again, thank you so much for showing up. I go.